Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bad Guitarist Podcast. My name is Andrew.
And my name is Scott.
This is episode 3. Episode 3.
Yep.
Before we get started, couple things. For those of you that are watching the video version on YouTube, we had some issues last week. It turns out there was like a whole 2 or 3 minutes that just disappeared during the editing. We didn't catch it until after we'd already posted it.
Shit happens.
I was telling a story about a Telecaster that my dad found that my parents' neighbors were throwing away. So if you were listening to that and it just glitched out like that, sorry about that. We also are switching the editing software that we're using. So for some reason, when we finalized everything and exported there was spots all throughout that it just cut throughout where we didn't edit that way. It just it was weird. It glitched out different sections all throughout where the audio continued, it seemed like, but then the video just was all over the place.
And it is really weird because it's not like we stop. We usually just have like a really long conversation about things that he knows and I don't know. Yeah. But if you're looking in YouTube, you might think like we're stopping.
Yeah, no, it looks. We did have one moment last time with the memory card.
We did have an issue with that.
It stopped at 30 minutes. We figured out that whole formatting issue, so hopefully this time it just goes all the way through.
Yeah.
I think we got our autofocus thing fixed that we had last time where it wasn't focusing correctly.
We're learning.
Where her side of the screen was fine, but then I was blurry almost the whole podcast. So for those of you watching that version, hopefully this is a better experience for you. For those that are just listening, hopefully everything sounds good and everything's leveled correctly. So let's jump into it. We got some new stuff this week.
Every week.
So this is one that I meant to cover last week or the last episode, and it was one of the first things I wrote down for us to cover, and I completely forgot about it when it came time to like bring up all the screenshots and everything to show you and talk about.
Okay.
So this is not a new release from this week. This is actually end of last week, I believe. It's the Boss SDE 3 delay. So I'm going to bring it up on the screen for you. So
$219.99.
Yeah, $219.99 is the price on this one. Dual digital delay. It is the smaller version of a much larger unit that they make right now. You know how we have the looper? It's the RC500, the 500 series. I believe it's a little bit larger than that series of pedals. And they've got like an Eddie Van Halen version.
Okay.
And it's just a pedal version of a rack unit from the 80s. And a lot of people used them. Van Halen was famous for rack units like that. I believe Phil Collins used them as well. So dual digital delay, it's kind of, I feel like it's self-explanatory. It's two delays at the same time.
Is that really necessary?
Some people have two delay pedals going at the same time. Some people have, something like this where it's 2 in 1. I think it's cool.
So basically what they are saying is for $219.99, you don't need to buy two, you can have one.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, yeah, but it also interacts a little bit differently because two delay pedals, one right after the other, it's one feeding into the other one. So whereas they are, I believe, parallel. So one's not necessarily going into the other one, they're at the same time. Two separate delays.
Okay.
So we'll read into that a little bit. But if you look, the controls are level, feedback, time, and then there's the offset time.
Okay.
And then below where it says depth, rate, high cut. So this is what Boss pedals sometimes have, are called concentric pots. So it's where there's two knobs in one. There's the outer knob and the inner knob. So they each do a different functionality.
Oh.
So you get two controls for the price of one.
But hold on. If you're new to this, like I am, and you're starting to play for the first time.
Oh, you might be confused with that.
That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the first time I used a pedal like that, I was very confused too. I didn't understand how that works.
As of right now, that doesn't make sense to me, though. I'm sorry.
And then if you look on the back, there's carryover on and off, which we'll look into that.
Okay.
And then MIDI in, so you can actually I can't even talk. You can actually connect this to MIDI devices. So that'd be kind of cool. They could be your drum machines or synthesizers.
Hey, that's my Sweetwater guy.
What's up?
My Sweetwater guy.
Oh, the little Sweetwater rep?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we're signed in on your
on my account
on this computer.
Of course, we sign in on my account. Of course.
But yeah, that's what it's saying. Back in the day of fridge-sized guitar racks, rolling SDE 3000. That's the original rack unit. Dominated the digital delay landscape. Yeah.
You're on my account looking at new pedals.
Well, I don't know. Maybe adding some stuff to your cart here and there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think you kind of get the point on this pedal, though, right? You know.
No, I don't.
2 digital delays.
I already told you I'm confused.
It says it replicates the sound of original SDE 3000. That's the digital rack unit.
Okay.
Processing analog non-linearities. Okay. To a T. But it ups the ante with 2 parallel delay lines. This enables the SDE 3 to mimic the functionality of 2 vintage rack mount SDE 3000. So it's 2 in 1. I mean, they're pretty much just repeating themselves all throughout the expanded stereo. So you have stereo inputs and outputs. There's an expression control in. And then, where does it get to the controls here?
Okay.
Wow, okay. A Salmongundi. How do you say this word? Salmongundi. I can't even say that. Of high-tech features. Even without taking legendary pedigree into account, SDE 3 is still among the most feature-rich compact digital delay pedals we've used here at Sweetwater. Ooh.
But
well, of course, they're going to talk it up. Yeah.
Isn't compact... Like, I get the point, though.
Yeah.
But don't you think sometimes for getting something that is, like, so compact and having, like, everything in one... you might run into the issue that it can be confusing like it is for me right now?
Yeah, I mean, I ran into that issue with those Walrus Mako series.
Okay.
I had that R1 reverb. And it has these switches that allow you to... It's like a multi-functionality mode. So wherever your switch is controls a different parameter with the knobs that are assigned to that switch. So the switches that they were assigned to, you have essentially 3 controls that you're operating with that one switch. And it can be confusing when you try to go back and adjust that again. If you don't flip the switch back to that setting, you're just messing up all your parameters on the pedal.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like sometimes that can be helpful for people and they can think like it's good that they don't need like a bunch of pedals because they have one that does it. But there's other people like me that is like, this is way too much for me to understand. I
mean, it depends on what you're going for, I guess.
I guess.
If you've looked at, and I know you've seen a couple of them, but sorry, I'm adjusting the mic. If you've looked at a couple of the Boss releases that they've done in the last couple of years, they had the Space Echo.
I seen that one.
They did the larger format, but then they also did the compact version. And I believe it's the same thing. You got the concentric pots in it. Bunch of different functionalities built into this compact housing. And then they have the amp and cabinet simulator, which we were waiting to try to get one of those for a while and then just kind of gave up because they're always on back order. But yeah, they just pack as many features into these compact pedals as they can these days, which they've come a long way from something like the DS1, which we were talking about the DS1 last week, and I realized when we were watching back. We were talking about the DS1, right after we were talking about the Distortion Plus, those signature Yngwie Malmsteen ones. And then I go on this whole rant about how I like the DS1, but I was saying Distortion Plus the whole time. So that might be a little confusing from last week. But here's the parameters and everything described here. Beautiful digital delay line, surprisingly warm, vintage, offers up to 800 milliseconds delay. If you're running in mono, you actually get double the delay time.
Okay.
Other than that, they pretty much... Okay, so the offset knob says it fine-tunes the relative time difference between the two lines. So I think it kind of like balances out the two. And then stereo, so you can run it to 2 different amps, 2 different setups if you have it. 3 output modes, stereo, wet and dry, and direct mute. So that's kind of cool because it depends on what kind of setup you're using. You could be doing like direct into your recording software. You can have one go into the amp and then miking that one. You might have 2 amps that you're miking. So that's pretty cool. Tap tempo, it's pretty much common on every delay pedal these days. You got to have some way to tap it in if you're playing with a live band or if that's just if you got a backing track going. So tap tempo. And then the carryover stretch. That's what I was a little confused about. It says it determines the pedal's bypass behavior. So I believe that's if like there's trails. So you turn it off and it continues to trail on. Some delays do that. Keeley Caverns has switches internally to do that.
Okay.
And then, yeah, MIDI. You can do MIDI in, so you can match it to the clock of other MIDI devices, whether it's like a synth, a drum machine, your recording software. So, how do you think it looks? Because I think that looks cool. I've never seen a Boss pedal with
it does look nice.
that color scheme.
Now,
Yeah.
every Boss pedal looks really similar because
That's their thing.
It's
Since the 70s.
literally just same design. It's
Yeah.
just like different color letters, but the combination of this one is kind of nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that looks like something out of the 80s. The black with that light blue.
It looks really nice.
And then,
I will
of course,
say that.
your usual. How do you feel about the price? $219. Well,
I can
$220.
prepare this time, and I told you I've been getting prepared for this moment probably all week long.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say. So I made a list. I have a list.
Yeah.
And basically my list is products that you can buy for the same amount that you can buy a pedal.
Okay, so for $220, what do you got?
So for $220, you can buy the Beats Solo 3 headphones.
Oh, the Beats headphones? Okay.
Those are $119. You see, and even
$119,
cheaper.
that's actually $100
Even
less.
cheaper.
Yeah.
And then, plus that, if you want to be nice to your lady, and your lady likes to use a air fryer, you can buy an air fryer.
Well,
And
you
not
can buy
the
like
cheapest
3
one.
air fryers
not,
for that
not the
price.
cheapest one, but like a good one.
Yeah.
You
Like
can buy...
the Emerald Lagasse one that looks like a toaster oven
Yeah,
thing.
the cheap version will be $85.
Yeah.
So there you go. You can buy for yourself the Beats, the headphones.
Okay.
And you can buy to your lady a nice air fryer, which is going to be good for both. You see?
Yeah.
You can buy things for the two and
That's
for
for
the same
$220,
price
for $220.
for $220
Okay.
that you're going to buy a pedal. You see my
Well,
point?
But if you buy those things, you won't have the pedal.
Yeah, but you're going to have a nice set of headphones and you're going to be
we've got
able
some
to
pretty
cook.
nice headphones right here.
You're going to be able to cook a lot of good food on the air fryer, which comes really useful sometimes.
It depends.
So, there you go.
Okay, so I think that about wraps it up on the Boss SD3,
Okay.
the SDE3.
I told you, I'm prepared.
Yeah. Let's do this one next.
Which
Death
one
by
is that
Audio,
one?
Bass War. So they've had the Fuzz War for a long time now.
Okay.
They had Fuzz War Overload or Overlord. I can't remember what it was called. It was the signature pedal for John Dwyer of the OCs.
Okay.
Think of like the nastiest sounding Big Muff you could think of, and then like something that just go completely wild, completely crazy, gnarly sounding, really gritty. Just you've seen the guy from Death by Audio, Oliver?
I've seen it.
He plays in the band Place to Bury Strangers,
Yeah.
and the tone that he gets, a lot of it comes from this pedal. I mean, this thing is just, it destroys your amp. It sounds amazing. Not this particular one, I'm sorry. The Fuzz War. So I don't know what the Fuzz War goes for. I've seen them used usually for about like $150,
Okay.
but a new, I think they're like $175. I could be wrong. So the Bass War, it's like a bass version. So one that's actually catered directly to bass. And the only real difference, I think, other than the lower frequencies that it's catered to, you got a mix knob. So a lot of bass pedals, especially like drives and stuff for bass, you get the mix control, which allows you to blend in the dry signal into the wet. So, well, not wet, but the gain. So it gives you a good balance where you still retain a lot of that like plain bass sound going into it. So you get a lot of that low end. Because if you were to plug into something like a regular, I don't know, Big Muff with a bass, you're going to lose a lot of that bass because of the compression. So something like this, I saw a couple demos of it, a couple people playing it, and I think it's really good. Now, what do you think about it?
Now, is that the reason why the design is so lame? Is it supposed to be like that?
So you think the design is lame?
No, I'm just saying because of the way you just describe it.
Yeah.
That is like a mess, but a good mess.
Yeah.
The design looks like a mess. So is that the reason behind like why the design looks like that?
Well,
Because it looks like our kid did it.
Well, no, you got to think like Death by Audio.
Okay.
They have this whole aesthetic that's like a DIY kind of industrial looking thing.
Well, they did it.
It's very, garage rocky,
Okay.
industrial rock, kind of just noise rock. That's what their inspiration comes from. So to me, I don't think this looks the way you're describing. I see this as being like, I mean, it looks more like a homemade pedal.
It does.
Than anything else. But no,
it looks like I
mean,
did it.
This is the way the Fuzz War looks very similar to this.
No. But I'm saying, if it goes with the way
know.
that you're describing the pedal, then it's a good design.
Now, I don't know if they're still doing the Fuzz War this way, and I'm sure if they are, they're doing it the same way with the Bass War. But they used to just have a stencil that they put on the enclosure and just spray painted it.
Oh, that's the way it looks.
I think that's how they started off. But they have other pedals. I'll show you some of their like nicer looking ones if that's not good enough for you. So like the Rooms. This is reverb. So it's a little cleaner looking.
Okay.
It's not doesn't have that same kind of style to it. I mean, it's their fonts are usually the same. To me it looks like something that you'd have like in a control room in like the 1950s for like a nuclear power plant.
It kind of does.
Like I think that's kind of what I think of when I see their pedals.
But hold on, get back to the other one.
Yeah.
There's that Echo Drain too. That one looks. I like that.
That one's really cool. And
That
then they
looks
also,
really cool.
They do the Time Shadows, which is a collaboration with Earthquaker.
That one looks nice to you.
Yeah, so they did that with Earthquaker. So Bass War. Not a whole lot to say about it. I mean, I think it's really cool. I think it's a good concept. They're building on what they already had that existed. That was a successful pedal. So, what do you 195?
I mean, I'm really conflicted about this one. Okay. And again, the reason why is design-wise, and that's my always bad, always.
Yeah. You care more about what it looks like than what it sounds like.
I do care because I have told you, like, if I'm going to pay a good chunk of money, I want everything to be nice.
Yeah.
You know? But for the way that you're describing the pedal.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the pedal.
No.
But I'm just saying, if it goes with the way that you're describing it, then the design is really cool.
So I think it's funny because, like, some of these things, I do show you the clips beforehand.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just go into it with, like, how do you think it looks and what's the price?
Because it's what it matters to me.
I mean, I would love to have one of these for a bass setup.
Okay.
But I think it's cool. I think the price is fair for what they do. I mean, they're handmade in New York City.
Okay.
I don't think you can go wrong with a Death by Audio pedal. They're a solid company, been around for a long time. And Oliver knows what he's doing. So that's that one.
But hold on.
Yeah.
So every time that we go to Julio Berto's,
Yes.
we spend about $45 to $50.
Okay. So just for those watching, because we live in Arizona.
Yeah.
And I think we referenced this in the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
So
because we do visit that restaurant a lot.
I believe parts of California have the same chain of restaurants.
Okay.
But there's a lot of them that are based in Arizona. I don't know how spread out they are. But the main one that was first was Filiberto's. And then there's Julio Berto's, Rollberto's, Humberto's.
I don't know, all of them and that
Polyberto's. But they're all the same menu.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I think they're different sub-franchises of the same company. So it's just drive-through Mexican food.
Yeah.
So, you were saying?
So just for reference.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go and we get the carne asada fry.
Yeah.
And we get tacos.
Yeah, tacos, carne asada fries, yeah. And
go,
drinks.
Yeah. Or we go and we get the bowl, which is, like the beans.
Beans, rice, the meat.
And the meat.
Lettuce, tomato.
Right.
I don't even know what else they throw in there. Some sour cream
and
or something?
then we get the carne asada fry, right? Yeah. But usually you're paying between $45 and $50
well, after
the tip.
Oh, because now they ask for a tip. Yeah.
No, they say it's going to ask you something.
It's going to ask you a question. It's like, come on, this is a fast food
ask you a
place.
question.
Like, but I always put no tip at that particular place.
Really?
They never asked for one before. This is a new thing in the last month that they started asking for a tip. It's like, this is fast food.
I mean, but that can be a whole other episode.
Yeah, they do have some locations that are sit-down restaurants with a full-size bar. Yeah, you're going to tip there.
But anyway.
But yeah.
So what I'm saying is, sometimes we go like twice a week, though.
Well, it's right down the street.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, between tips and everything, we're spending about $80 to $90 just
you're
on
rounding
the
up
Mythos.
extremely high there. We're not spending $90 a week.
Dude,
there.
I'm going to keep
I
the
would say at
receipts.
most,
I'm going to keep the
I'd
receipts.
say like $75. We're getting so far off topic.
No.
Okay, so
No. What I'm saying is, we eat out a lot. With $195, that's
we get
food
busy
for
with
us
work.
for 2
Yeah.
weeks.
well, with a baby, work, 2 podcasts that we're trying to do.
No,
Yeah.
that's not an excuse. We eat junk food.
Anyway,
I'm just saying.
well, what is this
instead of
relating back
buying-
to?
Instead of buying that pedal,
Yeah.
that it looks handmade,
200 and no, it was 195.
yeah, we can buy junk food for 2 weeks
Oh, 2 weeks worth of
of junk food.
Well, I'd rather have the pedal.
I'd rather the junk food.
All right. So this next one I did show you earlier today.
Oh, that looks disgusting.
And
I know
I've
what
got
it is.
mixed feelings about it. I don't know what to say. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen this. It's the Gibson Victory. So I believe this is a reissue. I don't know if this is a brand new design. We can read about it here in a second. But Gibson Victory, figure top electric guitar. Now, the first one I showed you was the...
No, I think it was that one, wasn't it?
Smokehouse Burst. It's like a brown burst.
Oh, no. You did show me that one
It's
first.
like a brown burst. It looks like it has like a flame top to it. The design, it looks like a mix between like a PRS and a Strat. But it's not like the Silver Sky. It's like you took just like a McCarty or something and you mixed it with... they tried to make like an offset almost. It's very strange. And I like the body. I like the pickup arrangement and everything. But then you get to the headstock, and it has that like hockey stick headstock to it. And it just doesn't look like it fits. I don't know. Some people might really like that. But to me... Okay, yeah, it says it was a design from the 80s.
I don't know, dude.
I'm not a fan. Overall, for... the price of $2,500. That will start with the price, $2,500. And then let's just jump to the specs. I don't want to read all this stuff about the history. Okay, it's got Gibson 80s tribute humbuckers that capture the high octane heft of its namesake era for the pliable tone crafting that retains transparency and definition. So that's like an 80s shredder guitar. Iconic coil splitting circuitry returns, augmented with inner outer coil selection. So it lets you turn your humbuckers into like single coils. So like that Ibanez,
Yeah.
like it does that kind of thing. Slim taper neck profile supports speed and power to accommodate multitudes of play styles. So they're just bragging that it has a thin neck. Contouring, double cutaway design, 24 frets, 25.5-inch scale. Something called a tom bridge and stop bar tailpiece, complemented by a Graphtec nut. So Graphtec nut's pretty good, higher end. Grover tuners, and then the Explorer headstock. So the Gibson Explorer, they ripped the headstock from that to put on this guitar. I can't get past that
I don't
headstock.
like
It doesn't look good to me. And the price is just outrageous. Every Gibson, I'm sure you've seen this already.
Oh, I've seen that.
yeah.
Right.
Every Gibson has like an outrageous price.
Yeah.
When I started playing guitar, I want to say like 2000, when I started getting serious about guitar, so like 2008, 2009, you could buy a brand new Gibson, like SG standard faded, I want to say.
Okay.
It was like $6.99, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I believe in 2008,
Okay.
you could buy a Gibson for like $6.99. You could buy a Melody Maker, which is like their stripped down, like single coil guitar. You could buy a Melody Maker for, I want to say like $600 back then. And now the cheapest Gibson is probably like $1,400, $1,500.
I just think they are overpriced, though.
They are, and then they're famous for like the headstock breaking because of the angle that it's at and the way that it's manufactured. That a lot of Gibsons, not this one, like the Les Pauls and stuff, the SGs. Did you see Connor's, my friend Connor? Did
Yeah.
you see his? He had like an 80s SG that he brought over, and it's like this bright cherry red that I've never seen on any other SG. But the way it looked on the back of the neck, and I didn't realize he's had this guitar for like a decade. I've played it dozens of times. I didn't realize till the last time he brought it over that it had a neck repair. And he didn't even know about it. I looked at the back and I'm like, oh, crap. Somebody repaired this neck. And he's like, how do you know? I'm like, you see this line right here? But yeah, Gibsons, I've never owned a Gibson. I've never had a desire to. I've had Epiphones, and I've had good experiences with them. But I just can't see justifying $2,500, $2,600 for a guitar that the ones I've played, I just wasn't fully in love with.
Yeah. I don't know. What I'm going to say, it might or might not make sense. But when I look at the body, okay,
of this particular guitar, the
focusing on the body of the Victory, okay? Mm-hmm. When I look at the body, all I think is when you're size 5 shoes and you're wearing size 10. Because it looks like they took a small guitar and they put it on a big body.
Well, like the upper horn.
I just don't like the way it looks.
Yeah.
It really looks like when you're size 5 and you're wearing size 10 shoes.
Yeah.
And it's like the shoes are too big for you to fit on. That's how it looks.
I guess I could see that. I honestly, I prefer the body to some other designs I've seen by other companies, but I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that one, see how well it sells. Because if you look, the Smokehouse Burst, it says that one's in stock. This is on Sweetwater. Wine Red. I think that's actually a little bit better finish, the Wine Red. You can't really see the flame top as much, but I think it looks cool. That one's in stock. But then you go over to this bright-ass green.
Oh, that one is...
Iguana Burst.
I'm sorry, that's disgusting.
Iguana Burst. So it's just layers of different green with that flame top to it.
It's just
sold out.
I don't
that
like
one is
it.
back ordered. Now, we talked about this earlier today. I wonder if it's back ordered because it was such a popular color option or because it was such an ugly color option that they chose to order less from Gibson and they already sold out because they had a less quantity in stock.
But here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
You showed the picture to me earlier today.
Yeah.
And I say, oh my gosh, that looks like an iguana.
Yeah, and before I even told you that was the name of the color. Yeah. But that's the color. Iguana Burst.
And then you told me that was the name. Oh my gosh.
But you know what? They could have had equal amounts of this and the other ones in stock, and I could see like the 80s shredder guys that are now in their 50s.
Getting that
they
color?
want that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
If you're big into bands that were like the glam metal, the hair metal, I could see somebody like a Motley Crue fan or something like being like, "Oh, this is for me."
I think when I see that guitar, I think Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi too.
Why.
Yeah, I could see a Bon Jovi fan wanting this guitar. I could see Bon Jovi wanting this guitar.
Bon Jovi playing that guitar.
I could see that. That's kind of that era of Gibson.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think it's cool that they have the coil split option. That's always a cool feature in guitars. Speaking of which, I can't reach it from here. Can you grab the Ibanez?
Oh, well,
I can get up. Yeah.
Okay, fine. You do it. I was gonna offer to, but that's okay. Okay. So we had talked about these too, $710 after taxes. A lot to say about that. Just saying.
Okay. So I'm going to hold it up. Hopefully the camera focuses on it a little bit. So we got this in from Sweetwater this week. It arrived on Monday. Oh, maybe I can even get to where it shows the
scratches.
The scratches. So this arrived. It had the usual Sweetwater 55-point inspection. It had the inspection card tucked into the strings, and I picked it up, played it. It was already tuned, so somebody had just recently inspected and checked it out because it traveled from Indiana to Arizona in 100-degree weather, and I pulled that thing out of the case or out of the box, and it played just fine. Setup was really good, and then was it like 5 minutes into us just sitting there looking at it, checking it out? Oh, there's scratches, like light scratches all over the lower horn. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's just something I can wipe off real quick. Maybe it's not actual scratching. And nope, it's all over the entire body.
It was.
So I'm imagining after they did the inspection and they took the product photos, because this is one where I was able to, on Sweetwater, pick out the exact one, the exact serial number. And based on like the finish and the pictures on it, that's the one I wanted. And yeah, I don't know. I guess when they packed it up, probably just during the packaging process, it got all scratched up. So they're sending out us another one. But the reason I brought this up is because this has the coil split option on there, but they have the Ibanez Artist Series has something called the Tri-Mode or Tri-Circuit or Tri-Sound. Tri-Sound, I think is the name, which is what appealed to me about getting this was each pickup. You can go from the regular humbucker to the coil split to a parallel mode. So
okay.
I think that's really cool. So I just wanted to bring that up because last week we talked about buying this guitar, and it's kind of sad that, it arrived messed up. But Evan, my sales rep from Sweetwater, took care of me, passed me on to Michael. I can't remember the guy's last name, but Michael from the guitar service department. So they decided they're just going to send out a new one, and I'll send this one back. So
I'm happy about that.
yeah.
Imagine me that I'm always complaining about the amount of money spent on music equipment when I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking like worst case scenario if they didn't have any more in stock, because I know the other model they had available. This was the AR420. They had the AR325, and I wasn't sure which one of the two I wanted to get. I know the 325 was almost out of stock, so I wasn't sure how many more of these they had. So if they didn't have any more in stock, I would have I guess settled if they wanted to do a partial refund or gift card to make up for the fact that it arrived scratched. But they were able to send out a new one, so that's pretty cool.
That's nice.
So, Gibson Victory. That's a no. That's a no from you.
No.
Okay. So what can you buy for $2,500 instead of this guitar?
Oh, dude. So many things.
That's like a mortgage payment right there for us.
How much was the scooter that you bought me that turned out it was a kid's scooter?
That was like $200.
2,000. No, 200?
No, it was like $200.
Really?
Yeah, it was a cheap one.
Of course it was a cheap one.
No, it was years ago. We had just got married. We only had one vehicle at the time. And I was actually working across town, so I needed the car to get there, and I used the car for work throughout the day. And she got a job at a school, and we came up with this idea we were going to get like a moped, and then the moped place was never open the days that we had available to go. So we ended up getting like the Segway scooter. It was supposed to be an adult size one. It looked adult size, and turns out the adult model is identical to the kids model. But it won't hold the weight of an adult.
I thought that was $2,000.
No, it was like $200.
Oh, dude, that's really sad.
So you could buy a bunch of those scooters for this price.
Oh, I wouldn't buy them again.
Yeah.
So just to give a little bit of context here, I used it just once, didn't I?
You used it just once to go to school and
so
then
it
come
was
back.
Summertime, okay? And that thing was supposed to be charged.
It was charged.
Dude, how far was the school?
Like 5 miles.
Okay, so let's say the school was 5 miles from home. Okay. So I started going, and then it just stops.
Yeah. So this is one of those electric scooters where you kick to start, and then it just takes off on its own. It didn't.
It's me running down the street with the scooter on the hand.
As a school teacher.
As a school teacher. I arrived to the school, and I was sweating my ass. It was so bad that the principal came to me. And she said, do you need a change of clothes? Are you okay? Do you need water?
Yeah, so
on sweat.
We made sure to get you a car as soon as possible right after that.
Yes. But how sad is to find out that my scooter was not even the amount of money that is like, oh my gosh, that is that guitar that is that ugly. That's really sad.
Yeah. So that's a no from both of us on the Gibson Victory.
No, that's a no.
We're already starting to run out of some of the stuff here that I picked out for us. Couple more. We got 3 more.
Okay.
Let's see. This one I know you're not going to like.
No, I already don't.
I already
like
know
it.
you're not going to like it. This is the Mythos pedals Envy Pro Overdrive NV9.
Okay.
So I haven't told you anything about this pedal.
Don't like
I just told you they just came out with it, I think, yesterday or Wednesday. This is Friday, the day that we're recording this. So this is going to go live on Tuesday.
Okay.
So yeah, as of today, this thing is only a day or two old.
Okay.
What do you think it is by looking at it?
I have no idea.
It's a green overdrive. Green overdrive.
Okay.
We talked about it in the first episode. We're going over different types of pedals.
Okay.
What green overdrive do you think it could be?
I have zero idea.
It's a tube screamer.
Okay.
It's just another tube screamer. I follow Mythos pedals pretty actively. I listen to their weekly or not weekly. It's however often they put out their podcast.
Okay.
And then on Fridays they do a weekly live stream. So usually I'm getting off work around the time that the live stream starts. So I listen to that on the way home.
Yeah.
They've been hyping this up for a while now. 2 or 3 weeks.
What's so hype about that?
They've been putting out like photos of it at like angles, like you could see it's a green pedal, but they're not saying what it is. So everyone knew right away that it's going to be a tube screamer of some kind. Zach from Mythos Pedals, he has like a huge collection of like around 30, if not more, different tube screamers because there's been so many different models over the years. So he has like every version of it. And so everyone knew eventually he was going to put one of these out. But
what is so special about this one?
He added some extra controls, so he modified the circuit to the way that he likes it to sound.
Okay.
But your basic controls are level, drive, and tone on any tube screamer. He added 2 push buttons. They almost look like they're like the mini knobs, but they're actually push buttons. One is for lows, so it adds more low end, more bass frequency.
Okay.
Which could be better in like a band mix versus not having that. And then a clipping function, which I believe in the video for it, he said that when you press the clipping function, it removes the diodes from the circuit. So you're just pushing the signal with the op amp inside of it. So the op amp is like similar to like transistors. So you're just using the op amp to push the pedal. No diodes. Okay. So this is $179. You can buy it directly from them, I believe, or maybe they just have it at dealers right now. It doesn't look like it's actually on their website yet. But yeah, green overdrive. This is another thing. So this is kind of like a gimmicky thing for it. I don't see a lot of people actually doing this, but it's an option he wanted to provide. Okay. Is that the op amp? So it's this. You can see it right there. It's that little black circuit.
Yeah, I see it right there. We're looking like at the circuit board, isn't it?
So there's pictures on their website where it shows the full circuit board. Yeah. And you could see that the op amp is mounted to a socket. So the socket is soldered in, but the op amp is not. So he gives you the option if you wanted to try putting different ones in there and see how you can tweak the sound yourself. So they even list on the website different ones that you can swap it out with. So it comes with an RC4558P. You could swap it out with any of this list of them that they have listed here. And he even said in the video, like, they make very small differences, but it's up to, like, what you feel is best for your sound.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
Because I just changed my opinion.
Okay.
Not a fan of the design, but I do love that it gives the people the option. Yeah. To get the sound that they want by switching that. I do like that.
Yeah, and he did say they're very minute differences, but it does have enough. It's very subtle, but it gives you just enough to where, like, oh, this gives me that little bit of edge in the mids right here or something. Like, it's up to the user to figure that out themselves, and that's a cool little feature. And chips are cheap for the most part. I mean, things have gone up in price a lot over the last few years, but
they are still cheap.
Yeah, op amps are pretty cheap still. You can go on Amazon and buy, like, all of them that they have listed right there. You can buy a generic Chinese-made version of any of those op amps for super cheap. When I was getting into trying to build some stuff during the pandemic, I just bought, like, boxes of those from Amazon.
I remember
it was like $10-15 for like 100 of them. So not a whole lot going on there. I mean, he's got recommended settings there. So like the Texas Flood setting, it's like Stevie Ray Vaughan, nice and thick. So that's with the low end, and then with everything, both mods on, are his recommended settings. Good looking green, I guess. I mean, it's classic Tube Screamer style. The font, I'm surprised he went with this for the font because he doesn't have anything that looks quite like that. His last release was the what was it, Herculean Deluxe? Oh no, his last release was the Hot Chicken.
The Hot Chicken?
Hot Chicken was the original name for it. It was a pedal they do exclusively for Carter Vintage Guitars in Nashville.
Oh.
So they went to reissue the Hot Chicken with some modified settings on it, and I think they swapped out a couple of the circuits. A 2-in-1 pedal.
Okay.
So they were going to reissue it, and then it turns out that I believe Seymour Duncan Pickups just put out pickups called the Hot Chicken. So they realized, like, oh, shit, we can't use that name. Like, they didn't register that name in their name. Sorry. That sounded stupid. They didn't trademark the Hot Chicken name for their pedal years ago. So, Seymour Duncan put out these pickups. They were like, well, those are friends. We're not going to step on their toes and fight over a name.
That makes
so
sense.
they changed the name to Extra Hot. So that was their last release before this one. But their big one that they hyped up for a really long time, we can talk about this one real quick because I don't know if a lot of our people watching or listening are very familiar with Mythos yet, because they're a small boutique brand. It's just 3 guys. The Herculean Deluxe. I like this one. I think this one looks really good. I've heard demos of it. It sounds really good. It's 2-in-1 overdrive.
What's the name?
Herculean Deluxe.
Oh, I cannot say that.
So it's Mythos pedals. So like all their pedals fall along this theme of, like Greek mythology and stuff like that. So,
okay.
Yeah, 2-in-1.
Oh, but that one is $299.
$299. I mean, that's pretty typical for what you'd pay for something like that.
Okay.
There are more there's other companies like Analog Man has their King of Tone. Who is it? Is it Benson? I believe.
Now, what's the deluxe on it?
Yeah. What's up?
It says it's a deluxe overdrive.
Well, because they had a Herculean single pedal years ago.
Oh.
So I don't know if they still make the Herculean. Now, this one, kind of like the mod option that you have on that new one, this one you have all these internal dip switches.
So you can switch between one and the other?
Kind of. I mean, they're just different settings. So it looks like there's 4 of them, and you can just get a bunch of different combinations of sounds out of this thing.
Okay, that's nice.
Which could be hard for people, you get like option paralysis where you have too many options, you don't know what to do to just sit down and write a song. You just get stuck. Like that's why I shrunk down from a big pedal board to a small one, because it's like you have too many options, you're not actually playing anything. But I think the Herculean is really cool. I'd probably buy that before I would want to buy the new one.
But isn't Mythos like a big company, or is more like a boutique?
It's a boutique company.
Okay.
They specialize in everything they do is like high end. The components they get, the amount of effort that this guy puts into the designing the circuits. I mean, he probably worked on this Herculean for like 2 or 3 years. Let's see. The one that they put out before that was their chorus pedal, the Fates.
Okay.
And almost has like a Star Wars look to it.
It kind of does, yeah.
But that's a chorus and vibrato. He worked on this one for a very long time. That's $229 for a chorus.
Does it have the options too?
No, you get chorus and vibrato. You get 2
That's
knobs,
all you
rate
got?
and depth. But they sound really good. I mean, it's just my opinion, but fully analog. Very comparable to like a Boss CS1 or CS2, CE2. I don't know what I'm saying. CE2, but a lot better sounding as far as like the clarity you get from it. The vibrato mode almost gets you like a univibe kind of sound. Not a univibe, well, it gets in that range. Like a rotary speaker, which is like I've shown you like a Leslie effect. Where it's
you
the
have shown me
the
that.
literal spinning speaker. It kind of gets you in that range. Now these guys, they're big into like bluesy, classic rock kind of stuff. His favorite guitarist, I believe, is like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. So, and they live near Nashville, so that's kind of the sounds they go for, or like what people in that region are going to want to play. They're not going to put out any kind of like crazy digital stuff.
That makes sense. Well,
yeah.
What's the other pedal you said you had to show me?
So there's that one.
Okay.
This is not brand new. They announced this a few weeks ago.
Okay. 645.
645, and it's back ordered. This is the POG 3 from Electro Harmonics. So this is, they did not just come out with this.
That's fancy.
But the fact that they just announced this like 2 or 3 weeks ago and it's already completely on back order at that price point means there's a lot of people trying to get this thing.
Okay.
This thing's like a supercomputer. It's huge too.
Well, I see a bunch of different knobs, and I don't know what's going on there.
As far as like a single pedal, I mean, it has 3-foot switches on it, but as far as like a single effect,
okay,
this is probably the largest pedal I've ever seen. That is not a multi-effect. This is probably like the size of like the MIDI controller we have over there on the floor.
Oh, damn.
But deeper.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And that's a pedal?
Yeah. Look how tall it is, too.
Dude.
And then on the back, you get 3 outputs. You have stereo outputs, a direct output, MIDI in and out, USB connectivity. The foot switches on this thing probably jumps you between presets, it looks like. You get preset up, preset down, on and off. But you get attack, filter, a detuning. So it's an octave pedal at its core. The POG series has always been an octave pedal. So usually in like the mini versions, you get like an octave up, an octave down, and then the direct signal.
Okay.
This one gives you a bunch of stuff. So you get the regular dry signal, 2 octaves down, 1 octave down, up 1/5, up 1 octave, and up 2 octaves. So you get this whole range added to your signal. It's huge. But, and you have like this huge display too, which I don't know exactly what the display is for. This probably does more than anyone will actually need.
I mean,
but
this might be a dumb question.
Yeah.
But, like, what kind of music do you play to need this kind of pedal? Like, what's your style to
older
play
versions
that
of the POG, people like Jack White use the octave effects on something like that.
Okay.
But this new version of it, let me see. I'm not sure who needs this. But, you know, on the Pedal Boards of Doom group, I'm seeing a bunch of people are starting to get theirs.
Really?
It's arriving, and they're already hooking it up. I don't know. I could see somebody that plays in church using this. Like a worship guitarist would use
really?
this. Somebody in a jam band, maybe. I don't know. I've never seen an octave pedal with this many features. But to me, I don't know. I wouldn't want to buy this. I love Electro Harmonics. I like a lot of stuff they put out. And it sounds great. The demos I've heard of it sounds amazing. But I don't know who this is for.
So you say, like, if you're a guy who plays on the church band.
Oh, yeah. If you play in the church band,
pedal.
this is like your guitar, your organ. You run this through some effects. You're going to have, like, it has a filter built into it. So you can have these swells in and out. You can have the organs. You can have the ambient guitar. You can just have sweeps, like almost like a pad synthesizer, if you run it through some like reverb or something. There are tons of options with this thing. I just don't know who needs that many options in one pedal.
I don't know.
I mean, they might as well have built a fuzz into this thing too. But 645, I think it looks cool.
It does.
I mean, it's like a.
But again, we come back to the thing that I was talking at the beginning. You know, like if you're someone like myself who's just learning about all these things, and you see that, that's way too much.
Yeah,
Like, you lost me in that, though.
Oh, I mean, it probably takes a good while to like figure out what sound you want to get from it.
That's big, and like I don't understand the -2. Like, I don't know.
Now,
I don't understand the whole thing going on there.
now I don't know exactly what the screen on it does, other than scrolls through your presets, because it looks like a lot of the controls are right here on the front. So I'm a little confused. You can also pan everything to the left and to the right. So you can have some of the octaves go into the left, some of them go into the right, some of them go into the center. So if you have all three outputs, the direct, the left, and the right, you can really fill out a lot of sound with this thing. So if you have multiple amplifiers, or if you're running, like I said, a church rig, if you're going directly into their system, you're like stereo all over the place. So that'd be good in like a live mix with other instruments. But this is insane. Yeah.
I don't know. Would you rather to have just these, or would you rather to have just like a regular pedal board?
Probably a regular pedal board or something like this. Like up here it says similar bestsellers.
Okay.
The Pog 2, $400. So you save money right there, just getting the more simplified version. But then next to it, they're advertising like the Head Rush, the Boss Multi-Effects processor. Things like those are your all-in-one everything. That has like your whole setup of pedals. It has your amp simulation, your cabinet simulation, things like that. That eliminates your pedal board right there. Because there's a lot of people that convert to those, and that's all they use are modelers. And I think I've talked to you a little bit about that before.
Yeah, you have.
Like, that's not a step I've taken. I have not played a modeler. I haven't owned a modeler. I still use analog and solid-state amps, tube amps. I just haven't made that jump yet. I think the Boss IR2, we talked about that earlier in the episode. That would probably be the first step I would take towards trying to go digital like that. I have run directly to my interface into like the recording software and use like amp sims in, Logic or Pro Tools. That's the furthest I've gone. Because again, these are very pricey too. I mean, the Head Rush is $699.
That's expensive though.
The Boss GT 1000 is
but
$600.
Again, if it's gonna replace a whole pedal board, I mean, it's not that expensive.
Whereas the Pog 3, that's not going to replace anything other than your existing octave and possibly filter pedals that you have on your board. So I don't know. I mean, people are buying it, so must be a need that's being filled. Okay, next up.
Okay.
Not a pedal, not an amp. We got another guitar.
What's that guitar though?
So this is the Epiphone Jimi Hendrix Love Drops Flying V. So modeled after, you know what's crazy is I've never actually seen Hendrix play the Flying V. I've always heard about it. I've always seen different versions of this guitar go up for sale. People build them themselves and sell it. But I've never actually seen Hendrix play the Flying V. I guess I haven't watched a whole lot of Hendrix videos.
You say it's an Epiphone?
Yeah, it's an Epiphone. But I haven't actually ever seen videos of him playing one. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure they're out there. I've never sought to look one up. But
me judging by design, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it looks like they're going to spell this in left and right-handed because, he was left-handed.
Okay.
But he played it right-handed flipped over as far as I'm aware. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with this. But $14.99, a lot cheaper than that Gibson I showed you.
It is.
Yeah.
A lot nicer, too.
I think so. I've had mostly good experiences with Epiphone guitars. The lower end ones, like the 100, those have probably gone up in price now. They're probably around like 150, 199. Like their basic student guitars are usually pretty bad.
Really?
The frets are usually pretty bad. The necks are always like super dry right out of the box. Takes like a good amount of time to set them up and get them sounding good. Pickups are usually not that great.
So which one would you say is a good guitar when you're a student? Like when you're just learning?
It depends on like how much. If you've got a decent budget, like the Squier Classic Vibe might be a good one.
Because we had talked about this. We had talked about how the guitar can influence on how good you play from the start.
Yeah, but it also depends on like the amp that you're using when you start
Okay.
out. Because if you have one of these little, when I started playing, it was the crate amps or the Fender Frontman amps, and those aren't very good. Especially like the gain channel on all those, it's not good. So you're starting out, I guess these days I'd recommend like a cheap modeling amp, like the Fender Mustang or something, or a Boss
Okay.
Katana. Boss Katana, those are very affordable, and it has a lot of effects and everything built in. You get a bunch of different amp modes built in. So Boss Katana and a decent Squier or any Epiphone over $300.
Because, I mean, completely honest with
Yeah.
you, if you're just starting to play guitar and you have a
Yeah.
cheap-ass guitar that sounds like shit,
Yeah.
then you're going to think it's yourself, no anything else.
Yeah. Now, I would also recommend the Yamaha Pacifica, which you have one, which is why I would recommend that, because I had doubts until
Yeah.
I tried her brand new one that it sounded great right out of the box, and it's the lower end. I think it's like the second model up from the lower end. That one was really good for like a student guitar. Ibanez has some cheap models. They have like really smooth necks on the Ibanez guitars. If you're going for like a metal guitar sound or something, I think there's some lower end ESP guitars, like their LTD series.
Okay.
Schecter might have a couple affordable ones. There's like a Kramer guitar. Those are like more like the 80s shredder guitars. Their lowest model, I think, is like $199. It's just one pickup and a volume knob. So anything like that I'd recommend.
But anyway, not Epiphone. To start.
No, I would say Epiphone, but just don't go with like their 2 or 3 base models that they have, like the
Okay.
cheapest ones. Go a step up from there.
Okay.
So I'd say like something in like the $300 range. If it's an Epiphone, probably be pretty good. But yeah, this one, the Epiphone Jimi Hendrix, it looks amazing to me.
I mean, it looks beautiful, though.
Flying V, I've always liked the Flying V. I've heard they're very heavy. I've never played one. Just awkward body shape, but you know what
Why
you're getting
do you
into
say
if
it's
you're,
awkward?
because it's a V shape. It's a giant hunk of wood.
I don't know, though. I think it looks really nice.
Oh, I think
I
it looks nice
actually
too.
really love the design.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, when it says, like, authentic Hendrix, like, does the money go to the Hendrix estate? Does his family get that money? They must, right? Like, I think his sister's still alive.
I don't know. I have
see
no
if I can
idea.
find the specs on this. Let's see, a modded C-shaped
But I
neck.
actually don't think that 1,499 is expensive for that guitar.
No, this is probably a fair price for this.
Yeah.
And Epiphone has some really nice stuff these days. So, okay, it says that he used one allegedly on stage and allegedly in the studio from mid-1967 until 69 when he gave the guitar away. And then, mahogany V-shaped body, replica of the original hand-painted psychedelic artwork. Hendrix Flying V includes a rounded C-shaped mahogany neck and 22-fret Indian Laurel fretboard. Some people don't like the Indian Laurel. Some people just want rosewood. I've never had a problem with it. Pau Ferro is another wood that people really frown upon.
Why?
I believe that's with the Player 2 series, or no, the Player 1 series from Fender. I believe they use Pau Ferro, and they had a lot of complaints about that. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was Pau Ferro. It's got the Maestro Vibrola, so that's Gibson and Epiphone. That was like their style of tremolo system.
Okay.
Or vibrato system, sorry. Fender calls it a tremolo, but it's actually a vibrato. Lock-tone tunematic bridge. Helps tuning stability. I think it looks cool overall. There's tons of Hendrix fans out there that try to recreate his sound all the time. They get the Marshall stacks, and they get the Univibe, the fuzz face, the wah pedal. And there's tons of people out there that that's their thing, is they want to just sound like Hendrix. They don't want to have any kind of original sound. They just go for the Hendrix board and the Hendrix amp So this is just one more thing for them to add to their collection.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
That guitar, just because I like the way it looks, I will buy that for you.
Okay.
No saying that I'm going to.
I mean, you
I'm
could if
saying
you want to.
I will buy it for you.
I'd play it.
No, I'm just saying it will look nice.
Yeah.
On the guitar rack.
Yeah,
Like
well, that's one you probably have to hang on the wall. I don't think that's going to go on the rack.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's
that'd
true.
need a wall hanger.
Oh,
Earlier
you're
this
already
year, too-
planning on buying a wall hanger for the guitar?
Earlier this year, too, Kirk Hammett from Metallica, they put out his signature Flying V, and it's a nice purple color.
I don't know, but this one has like a design on it. That one is really nice.
When I first started playing guitar, I really wanted a Flying V, but I wanted like either the red one with the white pick guard or the cream off-white color with the white pick guard. I thought those were really nice.
But anyway,
Yeah.
we're off topic.
So $14.99. You're not trying to replace that with any scooters or air fryers.
No,
you're buying that
no.
one. Okay.
No, it was sad to realize that the scooter was not what I thought it was.
No,
That
no.
was
We
disappointing.
were going to get you an expensive moped, but then we couldn't coordinate anything with the.
Something that just broke
It was
my
called.
heart.
It was actually called the Scooter Store. I think was the name of the store. But they
I
were
live
never
on a
open the
lie
days that
this
we.
whole time.
I never told you it was expensive.
I thought it was.
I never said that. All right, so that's it for the love drops.
Okay.
Cool. I think we had just one more. Nope, that was everything. No, there's one more. I lied. Got it written down.
What is it?
This is the one I'm most excited about, and there's almost no information about it. So Fender's been doing this thing where they're putting out collaborations with different artists, and they're calling it like they did like the Jason Isbell collection. So they already had the Jason Isbell guitar.
Okay.
And it's a very expensive custom shop guitar. And they did like the collection where it was like a strap and I think some picks and a pickup set.
Okay.
And that was like his signature collection. So now they've announced the Jack White collection.
And you're excited about that.
Well, Jack White's been on a roll with like these pedals he's been collaborating with other companies with. He did I think Anna Sounds is the company, I believe, where they just did that reverb pedal a week or two ago. Maybe it was like a month ago. Spring reverb pedal. Sounded amazing with like real springs in it and everything. So they did the reverb pedal. Earlier this year or last year, late last year, they did Donner Effects. They're like a Chinese-made company. They usually do like a lot of those mini pedals and stuff, but they have like processors and stuff. They do guitars, keyboards. They put out a pedal with him as a multi-effect. So it was like a distortion, a phaser, and a delay all in one. Prior to that, he's had a bunch of collaborations with other companies for pedals. But then this Fender one, all they have is I saw it on Instagram. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Just a quick, like, minute-long video. They blurred out the background when it focuses on him. But he's playing guitar in front of a Fender amp, but it's got, like, the third man color scheme. So it's the yellow and black. That's his whole color scheme with all his pedals and everything. And it shows the control panel. And it's clearly a Fender amp that's going to be some kind of signature Jack White model. By the looks of it, it's a tall amp, so I'm guessing it's like a super reverb or something, which is I can't remember if the super reverb.
Those.
It's like I've got the twin reverb, and that has two 10 or two 12-inch speakers in the one I have.
Yeah.
The super reverb is either a 4x10 or a 4x12. And I believe they've made different versions of it over the years with different speaker sizes. Okay. But the massive amplifier.
Oh.
And that's going to be cool.
Oh, you don't need that.
Oh, I'm sure it's gonna be, if I had to guess, well over $2,000.
Oh God, no.
If I were to look up Super Reverb right now on Sweetwater, I think they only make the Tone Master version, which is a digital recreation of the old tube.
But hold on.
Yeah.
If you have a Super Reverb, it's because you're gonna play for a ton of people, isn't it?
Traditionally, yeah, but I don't know who's leaving the house with something that big anymore. I mean, that's...
But if you live on an apartment, why do you want a Super Reverb?
Oh, I don't...
I mean...
Okay. So they have the Fender Tone Master version. So the Tone Master series, Those are all digital modeling amps that are made to recreate the sound of the real thing.
Oh.
But they're a lot lighter weight. So, because it's digital, it doesn't have the tubes and all that stuff in it. So that's something you could take to a gig without hurting your back. That's $1,400, or $1,350.
Okay.
But if you look at the one next to it on the screen here, it's... Yep, this is an actual tube, 45 watt. Super reverb is $2,200. So if there's a Jack White signature version of that coming out, I'm guessing closer to $3,000.
Really?
At least $2,500. I'm guessing.
That's insane.
But there are a ton of other options out there to get that same Jack White sound. You can find an old pawn shop tube amp and probably get like the Jack White sound out of it. I don't know about that one. I mean, I'm excited to see what it's going to look like and see what it's called, and I'm sure he's going to do great things with it, but I don't know. I mean, I think the days of giant tube amps like that are kind of gone, especially for people playing live. Unless you're playing in a big band that's well-known and popular, and you have, like, you know, tour people. You have, like, roadies and stuff.
I guess so, but, like, I don't know what you just said. Like, how do you take that from the stage to the car to the... I don't know. I don't know. That's way too big, though.
Yeah. I mean, because if I were to play live right now, the whole setup that I could use for a band would be the small, like, 1x10 amplifier over here, like the Vox.
Okay.
Or even like the Jazz Chorus JC22. Use the outputs on that running into like the live sound. And then the drums, I mean, with kick, snare, and hi-hat, you don't really need much else. You could throw a crash or a ride on there. And then bass, you could just go through like a JHS color box or even any preamp that has a DI on it. And bass goes directly to the house. And then, I mean, that's all like the trunk of a car for all that stuff.
Now, this might be a dumb question.
Yeah.
But if you're at venue,
Yeah.
Do you have like amps?
Some
or
do.
no?
Some do. Not really. I mean, it depends. It depends on the size of the venue. Depends on what size the booking is. I mean, if you're playing with other bands back to back, that's always been a common thing that like people want to share the setup and stuff. And it's I don't know. It depends. It really depends. Because if you're playing at like a bar, they might have like a house rig there, where they just have the bands come in and play. And, you know, they bring their own guitars and pedals and stuff.
I'm just trying to think when we went to see King Gizzard.
Yeah.
They were No, they were not sharing.
No. There's the opening bands brought their shit out. And then took their shit out.
Yeah.
No, because King Gizzard's like a larger band, but the opener was like a small local band.
Oh.
So yeah, they came in, set their shit up, took their shit away, and then King Gizzard's road crew came in and set up. But yeah, it really depends on the venue. Like something as large scale as a venue like that one that we went to, no, they're not going to have their own shit. But like smaller clubs,
They
bars
might
and
do.
stuff, a lot of the time they'll have some shit laying around.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, did you have any releases that you saw this week?
Oh, there's plenty of shoes that have been released
shoot.
this week.
Well,
bags, purses, shoes. What do you want? There's plenty of them.
are they bags that you can put pedals in?
No.
I think Black Star also put out some amps this week. I don't know. I thought they put out like a small
There was a
tube
new
amp.
release on Crocs.
Oh, Crocs put out some new shoes. Okay. No, I get those emails because I've bought you so many Crocs over time
Yep.
that I get the emails and the text messages from them that are like, oh, the Ronald McDonald Crocs are out. It's like, who's buying these? Who's
People
buying
like me.
Ronald McDonald Crocs or Barney or the Burger King Whopper shoes, or like they just have all these weird collaborations that I don't know.
The Hello Kitty one.
Hello Kitty, the JoJo Siwa signature Crocs are here.
Oh, God, no.
I don't know if that's a thing, but
I wouldn't
I'm sure it
think so.
will be.
I wouldn't doubt it's going to be a
Yeah.
collab.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yep.
At least if it is, that's a musical release. We can actually put that on the podcast.
Oh,
Yeah. I hope
For
not.
JoJo
I
Siwa?
hope
No,
not.
heck no.
I hope not.
no. That's
No.
a shame. No.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So out of today's, new releases, which one would you be most likely to buy? Was it the Hendrix one?
I will say that Hendrix guitar.
What about the pedals?
I really like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to go back through what they were?
No. I don't need
Okay.
to get back to what they were. Like, I remember.
Yeah.
I came here. I'm going to say this completely honest.
Yeah.
Okay. I came with the opinion of, I don't like Mythos pedals. No. It's like a no to me. But then we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I realized that most of them had like different options, which is not a huge thing, but you can change the modes here.
Yeah,
and
a lot of their
right?
overdrives and stuff, yeah.
I do like the versatility of that.
Yeah.
So I
agree.
will say, out of the pedals that we talked today,
Yeah.
I don't like the design, but because of versatility, I will buy the Mythos pedal.
Yeah.
Not saying that I'm gonna buy it. No.
No, I mean, if you're going to buy a Mythos pedal,
Oh, here we go.
either the Herculean Deluxe or the one that they call the Mjolnir.
I cannot even
The
say that
Mjolnir
word.
is their Klon, and they have like a few different versions of it. As far as like Klon style pedals, I'm not a big fan of Klon pedals, but I feel like theirs is one of the better ones out there. Theirs or the Keeley Oxblood. Those are the only two I'd probably buy.
I will say I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised with Mythos pedals. Well, I
Yeah.
like them.
I think the big one for me this week would be the probably the Death by Audio.
Really?
The bass war, yeah.
I had
I think
to.
that's-
I had to
that's
dig
most
into
impressive
that. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Christmas is coming up.
Sure.
Sure. No, by the time this comes out, the Jack White release is 9/17. I believe that's the day we're putting this episode out. So next week's episode after that, we'll
We
be able
might
to
talk
actually
about
talk
that.
about, we'll actually be able to talk about what it is, because we don't even know yet. There might be more to it. It might not just be an amp. It might be something else. He always does
knows?
something crazy, so we'll have to wait and see.
It can happen.
Yep. So we're over an hour at this point, and our memory card hasn't shut off on us. It looks like we've been in focus through this whole thing. Not that that matters to the people listening, but to people watching. Hopefully we've provided a better experience as far as
Yeah.
the audio quality, video quality. I think that's about all I have. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
No.
Okay. We'll cut this one, I would say short, but I think the last episode was actually shorter than this. So this is the Bad Guitarist Podcast. My name is Andrew,
And my name is Scott.
and we'll see you next time.